And we're live. Welcome, everybody, here to the Lakers Lowdown. I'm Anthony Irwin. Today on the show, we are going to be talking. I am Anthony Irwin of Lakers Daily. I should remind myself to start doing that a little bit more. I am Anthony Irwin, Lakers insider for Lakers Daily. And today on the show, we are going to be talking about an absolutely huge night for the Lakers as they beat the Oklahoma City Thunder for the third time this season and get a little bit of help, continue to get a little bit of help from around the league. So we're going to be talking about those two things. We're going to be talking about the matchup with the OKC Thunder and why they might hope that the Lakers and they do not match up in the postseason, in that first round this postseason. And we're going to talk about DAngelo Russell, who, had a great game and responded really well to being benched against Denver. Didn't mope, didn't whine, nothing like that. Just came out, took care of business, and was a huge part of the Lakers beating the Thunder last night. Let's start with that game, though. The final, 116-104. The Lakers beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. It was actually, they were up by 24 in the fourth quarter. And then they brought in Jalen Hood-Schifino and the rest of your kind of garbage time players, and they looked really bad. I mean, it looked like a bunch of guys who hadn't played together because they are a bunch of guys who haven't played together. So, that 24-point lead dwindles all the way down to like 11 or something like that. It was you never got nervous or anything like that. I just like bugging Raj about Jalen Hood-Schifino not being good at basketball. But the Lakers, though, really balanced effort here tonight. You had DAngelo Russell leading the way with 26 points, 6 boards, 3 assists, 3 steals, and a block for D'Lo. That was 9 of 17 from the field, 5 of 11 from three-point range. Had that stretch where he made 3 straight three-pointers and basically ended the game. And that was a lot of fun. Really cool moment here. I'm going to see if I can pull it up while I am talking, but really cool moment here via Lakers All Day Every Day in that podcast. But LeBron actually caught a pass from D'Lo at midcourt. I'm going to try to pull this up while I talk to you. And he actually told D'Lo, no, you got this. Go out and do your thing. So I'm going to grab that clip. And elsewhere in this game, though, you had Anthony Davis go for 24 and 12. You had LeBron go for 19, 11, and 8. You had Reeves go for 16, 6, and 7. 4 of 5 from three-point range for Austin there tonight. Really kind of under the radar, great game from Austin tonight. And okay, cool. So we are almost there on downloading that clip. Now we just have to upload it and you will get to watch it. But it was just a really fun, great, and important game, I think, and not just in terms of the win, but picking up the vibes. And I think, really importantly, sending a nice little reminder to the Thunder, we still kind of own you. And for a team like the Lakers that has been thoroughly inconsistent this year, them being consistently really good against this team that they very well could face in the postseason is big news. Again, more on that a little bit later. A quick reminder for those of you watching live, please do hit that subscribe button. And whether it's here on YouTube, whether you are watching or listening to the show in podcast form, please subscribe wherever you get your podcast, preferably Odyssey. And if you guys are watching on Twitter, head on over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and let's keep this thing rolling. Also hit like, I guess that helps as well. But here's the clip that I wanted to show, and I'll probably show it again later in the show as well. But this is a really funny clip, really cool kind of clip here. Again, from Lakers All Day Every Day. Amazing. Really cool stuff. LeBron kind of understanding the moment. The Lakers have an opportunity for D'Lo to take advantage of that moment And then D'Lo does wind up taking advantage of that moment. And, for the sake of standings as well, because we are squarely in standings watch, you can look here. You have the Timberwolves now at the top of the conference after OKC takes that loss. You have Denver also right behind them. The Clippers at 39 and 21, the Pelicans at 36 and 25, the Suns at 35 and 26, the Kings at 34 and 26, the Mavericks at 34 and 27, and then our Los Angeles Lakers at 34 and 29. The Golden State Warriors round out the play-in group with 28 losses and 32 wins. And then you have the Utah Jazz and Houston Rockets just kind of peripherally there as well. But you can see that bunching in the in the play-in grouping, right? The Lakers, man, it would have been nice to get that Denver win and have 28 losses and be, a full game and a half up on Golden State and be right there behind Dallas and Sacramento as well. The Lakers have a really tough stretch ahead of them. The Suns have a really tough stretch ahead of them as well. They aren't going to have Booker for at least the next couple weeks. It's a really interesting, fascinating portion of the season here as the Lakers fight, scratch, and claw to try to get back into it. And these are the kinds of wins that you need to be able to do just that. For the Thunder, thought it was a really interesting and kind of telling game for the Thunder. J-Dub was just outright bad. 7 total points for him on the night. 26 minutes. He goes 2 of 9 from the field. Just never looked very comfortable, almost no matter who was guarding him. Lou Dort was out of his mind, and it didn't seem to matter. Josh Giddey started the game really well. Didn't seem to matter. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with a way subpar game for him. Also interesting here for the Thunder, they have been really good this year in terms of second nights of back-to-backs. They've actually been very successful. And the Lakers just and I think this is the benefit of playing big and playing physical. Those tired legs, when you have to now contend with AD and LeBron and Rui and D'Lo has it going the way that he does, and the Lakers crowd is into it in the way that they were once the Lakers kind of got back into the game. It was a great win here for the Lakers against a team that has been really good all season and specifically really good in this situation. And you would never notice that the Thunder are actually really good in that spot. And that is all a credit to the way that the Lakers played tonight. Weird. All right. I am going to StreamYard just like randomly kicked me out. I wanted to play this. All right. We do have a super comment here from Justin Tindle, which means we get to play this one. You know what? Again. All right. So Justin Tindle writes, since Ham said 80s foul trouble in Phoenix was the reason Max didn't play, Reddish's injury in the Wizards game is are the only non-garbage minutes he's played since. Why would role players get a minute's promise? Dinwiddie has scored 10 points twice. So, look, I think it's pretty clear that Darvin is going to rely on veterans here over Max Christie, despite Christie being better at basketball than those veterans. Dinwiddie has actually been mostly fine. He's not a good shooter. Like, you can look at his shooting numbers this season, and it's not like when good shooters come to the Lakers and forget to shoot, it isn't like bad shooters get to the Lakers and then like miraculously become good shooters. Dinwiddie has been bad from the floor all year, and he essentially continues to be that kind of bad. He does have more length, not necessarily than Max Christie, but he does have more length on the perimeter. So I think Ham likes the ability to have a creator out there who can also defend. I think that is I think Spencer Dinwiddie in this one was a plus 35. So I'm not going to complain about a guy who played well enough to be a plus 35. And I know single game plus minus can be really fluky and all of those things. If you're a plus 35 in any game, you did some stuff right. So Dinwiddie isn't necessarily the problem. It's Reddish. Like, I don't get it. Reddish was again, now apparently he did kind of limp off of the floor tonight. So that'll be something to kind of watch for. But to get to like the central point that Tindle is making here, um, Ham just continues to look for reasons to not play Max Christie, and it is maddening. But I don't think it is something that is changing anytime soon, and we just kind of have to get used to it. So I would love to see Max get more of an opportunity. I think it's really stupid for a team that's hovering around 500 to not see what the guys who are probably going to be on next year's team can provide. But, me saying stuff that Darvin Ham is stupid is just kind of like me commenting on the wetness of water. All right. So the next thing I wanted to talk about here is the specific matchup between the Lakers and the Thunder. Again, you look at those standings, and the Thunder are in the 2 spot now. So if the Lakers were somehow to jump up to the 7 or 8 spot and then win, if the and the Thunder were to somehow stay at that 2 spot, which is altogether possible because of how tight that grouping is, then the Lakers could play the Thunder in that first round series. And I think if I was a Thunder fan, that is not something I want anything to do with whatsoever. The Lakers, they're just a really bad matchup for them, especially if and we have, I provided a bit of an update in watching this one, but important note on the sideline, Jared Vanderbilt is no longer wearing that walking boot. Darvin Ham said before the game that hopefully in the next week or so we'll get another Vanderbilt update. I am still told that, not to necessarily be optimistic about seeing Vanderbilt again this season, but I am like you can ask Jen. I am always the kind of person who is going to notice progress, like in stuff that I'm rooting for to happen. I am rooting to be wrong, essentially. I am rooting to be proven wrong here and to get Vanderbilt back onto the court at some point this season. Now, what he looks like when he gets out there and how quickly that would happen and and what role he plays, that is, very much putting the cart before the horse. But just any kind of progress there, seeing him not in a walking boot is really great to see. I have heard from some people that there's a little bit more optimism, a little higher up in the organization, but like that is not, I'm going to trust the same people who have told me that's, what I've heard about Vanderbilt and about Gabe Vincent all year, and they continue to say that those guys have a long ways to go still. But I want to talk about this OKC Lakers matchup and why the Lakers, I think are a team that they would probably actively try to avoid if possible. Now it's hard to do that in a given the play-in settings and all of those things and all of the scenarios that play out with the play-in tournament. But the Lakers now, if Shea is going to have games like he has tonight, the Thunder stand no chance whatsoever. And they didn't, right? They got their asses kicked. It was a 24-point game before the garbage units started coming into the game. And, if Shea isn't going to take advantage of the Austin and D'Lo matchup, then they're really in trouble. You have Jalen Williams, who really usually benefits from getting to the rim and getting into the paint and kind of wreaking havoc there. But you can't quite do that when you are facing up against LeBron or AD, and even in some points of the game, Rui. That's like Jalen Williams is kind of the type of player that Rui is going to do okay against, where they're both kind of bigger, stronger guys. Williams is quicker, and he is going to give Rui problems that way. But if it just comes down to like kind of a wrestling match occasionally in the playoffs, that's a matchup defensively that I think Rui can do okay in. And then you also have on that team guys like Josh Giddey, who, the Lakers can essentially hide somebody on. And that really helps them. The thing with Denver that the Lakers really struggle with is the fact that there's nobody that the Lakers can hide Reeves or D'Lo on, right? When Denver's starting five is out there, all five of those guys are threats, and Jokic is also probably the best player in the league at taking advantage of those threats or optimizing those threats. This OKC team, though, you have inexperience, which can kind of go both ways for you, where, sometimes in a playoff setting, you aren't quite, because you're so young, you aren't kind of wizened to the situation, and situations aren't going to be too big for you. But it also goes the other way, where another team understands how a playoff series is going to play out, how to take advantage and scout specific teams over the course of that series. And in this case, for the Lakers, you have so many mismatches. Like AD had a dunk. I was on All Access Lakers tonight with the guys, and I told Raj when it was happening. AD had a dunk in traffic where it was like a putback dunk, a rebound and putback dunk. And I said, "Oh, okay. I think we're going to get a very different AD from here on out, so long as he's in the game." And then I think the next play, AD blocked Chet on a mid range jumper, and then got an and one on the other end of the court, and really got that momentum snowballing in the Lakers' favor there. And you look up and down that roster, and we had, we had Bismack Biyombo out there trying to be physical with AD. He didn't have anything to do there. You had uh you had there was a stretch where Kenrich Williams was out there, and Lou Dort was trying to be physical with AD as well. They're just too small. They're too thin in Chet's case. And if AD really wants to focus and bear down on it, he can basically dominate that game. And when the Lakers looked at their best tonight, he did. And I think in a playoff series, that's something that the Lakers would take thorough advantage of from the beginning to the end of that series. I think OKC would be favored in the series, but it would be the kind of series that I would be pretty confident that I would earn some extra money in the Lakers winning. So I am really curious as we get later into the season what OKC does to try to avoid this one, because they match up pretty well against just about everybody else. But this Lakers team in particular, it is a brutal matchup for them. And if, in my case, if things like, if I were the Lakers, I would try to, do whatever I can to, now your top priority is to climb out of the play-in altogether, if possible. But if you are going to be in the play-in and OKC is in that 2 spot, you got to try to be in that, I guess 7 or 8 spot, so that you give yourself a chance at seeing OKC in that first round. All right. We have a couple more super comments. Shouts to everybody for the support. I'm always blown away when we get these, which means we have Landon Archuleta leaving that comment, which means I get to play this. Is D'Lo the greatest three-point shooter in Lakers history? He's only 23 threes away from breaking the Lakers single-season record after tonight's game. I'll be curious to see where Austin winds up by the end of his career. Danny Green, in terms of like best shooters that like best just kind of pure shooters that the Lakers have ever had, I think he's up there. But I do think, with the amount of time that D'Lo has spent as a Laker and the number of threes that he has made, he has a very legitimate case to be in that discussion, if not be at the top of that discussion. I think some of this is a bit of a semantics trick because the Lakers have never cared about 3-point shooting. It's just for whatever reason, the rest of the NBA modernized and the Lakers were like, we'll see. And I think D'Lo is right up there. He's certainly top 2, I would say, between him and Danny. And, I wouldn't hold it against anybody for saying they prefer D'Lo there. The other one that we have here, Cigar Minon. I'm hoping I'm saying your name correctly here. Also, importantly, can't forget this. Nights like these give me hope for a long run. Yeah, absolutely. I would say this: the Lakers are a very inconsistent team, and you just kind of, to a certain extent, you just kind of have to enjoy nights like this because you never know what the next game might present, right? On any given night, you can have a game like the Denver Nuggets one that, you walk away from and you hate the entire sport of basketball. And then you show up and you watch the Lakers play like this and you feel like this.
Lloyd, just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this. And totally redeem yourself.
Yeah. Now, I wouldn't say they totally redeemed themselves for that loss against Denver. That's going to sting for a little bit. I hate losing to a team 8 straight times, but you do have, this team is, like LeBron said it earlier this season, on any given night, they could beat the crap out of anybody. And on any given night, they can get the crap beaten out of them. And, this is just one of those nights that go in the Lakers' favor. But, being able to throw that kind of a fastball, the analogy I've made all season, right, is how far can you throw a football? Being able to throw it that far and being able to look like they did tonight is really important. And when you get into the playoffs and you don't have back-to-backs anymore and you can scout specifically for certain teams and you have LeBron and AD who are just absolutely nails in those situations and absolutely playoff proven, then you gotta, like, the absolutely correct from Cigar here to say that, yeah, it is the kind of thing that you watch them play like that and you say, what what are they actually capable of if they ever put it together consistently? All right, I wanted to move on to D'Lo and to, the way that he responded here. Very controversially, Darvin Ham went with Cam Reddish at the end of that game against Denver. And then late in the game, after Denver had basically done enough damage that the Lakers, weren't going to be able to climb back into it, he brings in D'Lo again, and the game was already kind of decided. And look, I'm just going to come out and say it. D'Lo, I would say, in his first stint with the Lakers, would have moped and would have played really poorly in this game. I would say at various stretches this season, I think we would have seen D'Lo kind of mope. I have to mulch this weekend. I'm not looking forward to that. But you would have seen kind of some whining and his shoulders would have sagged a little bit and you wouldn't have seen this kind of an effort. But no, instead, again, he puts together that run, or he puts together that stat line, right? 26 points, 6 boards, 3 assists, those 4 steals, a block, only 3 turnovers as well. He had the building on fire with those 3 threes back to back to back. And it's just, when he has it going like that, there's just very few players who are that kind of electric. Darvin Ham said after the game that, D'Lo is just that kind of talented, that it's great to see him when he has it going that way, and that the Lakers just need to get that more regularly. One way to get it more regularly, Darvin, is to actually play him down the stretch instead of your veteran minimum wing who hasn't been able to stay on the court for like 3 different other stops. But I'm not bitter. I just think we need to give D'Lo his flowers for this game, and some of it is kind of outlier stuff, right? The streaky shooting or whatever, but that is D'Lo. Like, he is a streaky shooter, and when he has it going like that, there are very few players who look better. And then when he doesn't have it going like that, then that's kind of ugly as well. But with what D'Lo brings to the table there, and what he can, just so regularly do as a shooter, as a facilitator, and also as kind of like a vibe generator. You look at the way that the Lakers responded to D'Lo, right? I'll play this clip here again, of D'Lo hitting that third 3-pointer. You look at the bench. You look at LeBron. LeBron wanting D'Lo to get up that heat check, right? The guys are legitimately rooting for him specifically, and I think he is a very popular guy. He's an interesting guy. I've heard that he can be kind of a weirdo. I think he's very introspective. I think he's a very bright guy, and I think in his own way, he is one of the more fascinating players I've ever covered, honestly. And when you see us run like he had tonight, when you see a game like he had tonight, it just makes you kind of scratch your head and say, like, how do you get that out of him more consistently? But the thing about roller coasters is, if you level out a roller coaster, it's just a Sunday cruise. And D'Lo is inherently a roller coaster. So this is who he is. And you just have to win the games where he plays like he did tonight. Unfortunately, the Lakers did. So and they were able to do that on a night where the Kings lost and did so pretty embarrassingly to a Bulls team that has been a mess all season. So it's great news. It's great to see D'Lo playing that way. I completely agree with Darvin that he needs to do that more regularly, but that isn't really who D'Lo is. And the whole point that you bring in a Spencer Dinwiddie or you bring in a Gabe Vincent is so that on those nights that D'Lo doesn't have it, those guys can kind of step in and kind of stem the tide and pick up for what D'Lo doesn't bring on that particular night. And if he has it going like this and you have AD playing the way that he did, you can get a nice quiet night from LeBron, which I'm sure he thoroughly enjoyed as well. All right. That, I believe, is going to do it for this episode of the Lakers Lowdown. What I'm going to do, because I guess I'll can I give Ham? Somebody's asking me to give Ham his flowers. I don't know for what. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, way to go! You played D'Lo when he was super hot. You gave Max getting DNP CDs essentially and only playing garbage time, like, precludes me from being able to give Darvin his flowers. Like, I cannot. You can't not play your 6th or 7th best player and then hope to get praise from me. I'm just not going to do that. Will the Lakers re-sign D'Lo to a longer deal this summer? That's interesting. I kind of wonder, like, I think this is probably the max that the Lakers would be comfortable paying him. And I think D'Lo probably considers himself underpaid. So I think those negotiations are going to be interesting, given what the Lakers passed up on, though, in terms of at the deadline and last summer and stuff like that. I do think it does make for some interesting situations, but there is so much basketball to be played before we get to that point. Asking that question on a night where D'Lo plays like he did tonight and not on a night where D'Lo, really kind of struggles is, it's tough, right? That's the whole reason the Lakers are probably comfortable at paying him this much at most. And that inconsistency and the gap between ceiling and floor for D'Lo is really difficult to try to forecast for your cap. And we will kind of see what those negotiations look like. I'll answer a couple more questions here if we have any. I think we're good. Yep, I think we're good. So I am going to call this one here. And I have a really fun guest on tap for tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and risk it. Sabrina is going to be on tomorrow. We're going to talk about these Lakers. We're going to talk about whatever she wants to talk about. She's one of those guests who comes on here and asks me questions and puts me out of my comfort zone. And that always leads to some fun conversation as well. And I also want to talk to her about Caitlin Clark, seeing as she covers women's basketball for The Athletic. We're going to talk about her decision as well. So stay tuned for that. And then hoping to have another really fun guest, hopefully Wednesday or Thursday. And then Friday, we will have our typical happy hour in its new format. So if you do want to participate in that happy hour, please do consider becoming a VIP member of this one. You can find out how to do that in the community tab here on the YouTube channel. But at the very least, please do hit that subscribe button. Please do hit that like button and fire away with your questions in the form of a 5-star iTunes review. And I will definitely get to those questions on Friday. So until then, and until the next time you guys hear from me, I'm Anthony Irwin of Lakers Daily, Lakers Insider for Lakers Daily, saying, have a great rest of your day, make somebody else's, and I will talk to you mañana.